Gonna get into some of the sketchiness. First, I just want to say, like, I haven't seen too much of it, which is nice, but like, let's not keep going on about Ethereum. Like, let's wait until we can at least maybe get above. It's crazy how much this is struggling this whole time. But like, you see how it tries to push up, fail here, and then obviously if we go like back further, we'll be able to see more. But on the week time frame, it's a lot more clear when we look through some of these things. Boom, 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 boom. A little bit of uncertainty. Fights here, but we can see it clearly. Fall off. Boom. Start above. Boom, boom, boom. Start above. Boom, boom. Where are we now? Right. Boom, boom, boom. So, right. It's usually important to look at the longest time frame. This is why I say it matters also, because, right, 2023, that day time frame, you see a lot of those failed breakouts that we were looking at, like boom, 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 what we were pointing out. But look what we see here on the week time frame with the 375, right? So come under, we come back to it. This is where you for the strategy calls this is where you short or you take profit, and then wait for the upside or price action on the top side, which I think is pretty reasonable here. If we look at where the top side of this is, I think this is a pretty reasonable call too. Like we're just literally just saying, like right above all this. I think that's really reasonable. So, yeah. So I don't understand. There's no point in Ethereum. Anyway, so kind of just go on this, and then we'll go into Bitcoin, which is interesting. We can do this, and then we'll bring Bitcoin up on the. Where does this take us? Okay, nice. On the week time frame, Ethereum looks way worse than Bitcoin. I don't think this means anything. It just this okay. This is really good, especially from the perspective of like a long time frame. Like this is really good. The way that we have nice price action into here. This is when I first started messing with Mara, not here, right? The strategy dictates we wait till we start above both, and a reasonable thing, and obviously some other stuff also. But right, the most general thing, just looking at the one and not the broader market, is boom. So this looks nice. I like this. You know, it's on a double bottom. Well, I don't even know if it would be a double bottom since we just pushed up, right? I don't know. Um, right? It could look like this, right? That's not a double bottom, right? If this is pushing, right? This wouldn't be a double bottom. So, but what the heck? There we go. But yeah, the Ethereum looks so much worse. I don't think this means anything really, but geez, the fact that it's come down this far is really sketchy to me. It just indicates like, right, we could have this. So depending where we start next week, maybe we want to push down to find that, to keep that trend, like here, 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 and then it tries to push back up. So it's just like a reason I could see it getting sold down with the intention of people wanting to buy it up. But the more people are willing to like kind of buy it in that place that's down, like I don't want to get too much into it. It's not really that important. So it's just sketch. Couple other things, Bitcoin sketch on the short term, even though it looks good on the long term. We'll see how this kind of pans out. I'm sticking with the same thing as before. I feel a lot more bearish today than I did yesterday. Maybe 5% that we would go down. Now I feel like it's 15 to 20%. We'll see what happens. I don't think a lot of this really matters too much, but it is quite worrisome. Did I get rid of it? I must have gotten rid of it. Oh, I know what I got rid of. But anyway, it's quite worrisome, more or less, that we didn't come down into this area because this seems like a pretty straightforward area to just wedge right here and then break out. And what are we breaking out into? The Sunday when the dollar opens. So that would be good. I think there's a lot better of a chance the dollar opens bad or it's signaling something like that. We talked about that in the last video, so I'm not going to go back over that in this video. And it's just concerning. So the real question here is, how much do these shorter term averages really matter? This to me is a lower low, not a double bottom. So you kind of take it with what you want. On this 12-hour, we can even kind of see. I just don't like it. I feel like the last thing I'll say on this is we could have spent so much more time in this area underneath resistance where people are going to sell a whole bunch, and you can just buy, and just buy into Sunday and make everything look nice. And, to me, that's alt season. To me, this is alt season. Right now, this is select alts, very select alts that look good or don't have high volume. That's all this is to me. When there is something a lot better, I generally see that a lot more alts are doing well, not just a select few of them. So it's just a little bit of a concern. Like I know AVAX, I think I can't remember. I think I showed this, but just anyway, we started the day above. That's all AVAX has. I mean, AVAX looks great from that perspective, but I mean, to me, this is really it. Just AVAX to Bitcoin just look good. It just is what it is. Um, we can look at Bitcoin dominance. I don't really think there's too much to look from here. One of the kind of key things about this. Okay. So one of the kind of key things about Bitcoin dominance is we have our 200 smooth. I love 200 smooth. It's my favorite. I don't care about the simple moving average. I love 200 smooth so much better. So much better than the simple. Um, double hold's good too, but it is what it is, right? We break out, boom, 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 right? Resistance, breakout. Oh, this is January. That's great. So not really hard to see from this perspective. And then here they started raising rates, right? Everything kind of got crashed and crabbed on and all other kind of stuff. So let's just kind of take this and the way that we analyze everything else, and we can just kind of see that we could expect ourselves to come all the way back up. Now, one interesting thing is we do come up here, but we do have a decent gap right here between these peaks also as well before they come back down. So looking from that, this is something that could happen from that perspective. When I look at this, when I use this stuff to analyze specifically trade, this is where you like take profit. This is where, or you short, not here because you haven't hit there's still more left in the range. Like this is unrealistically close. Or it's unrealistic to say this is close. It just is. Percentage wise and everything. It's just very unrealistic. It's like 8% or something like that. It's crazy. It's like 72 to 78% or something for Bitcoin dominance. Anyway, I think we shall come up. What interesting thing though I will say about this though, in a sense, is it will be interesting. I'm not saying this will get pushed down. I just think it's an important area. But to that sense, it's an important area. It'd be very interesting if we can start like a week or significant time frame candle up here. This may look very, very, very nice. Oh, I want to see a week start above. We're on the week time frame. But that could look very, very nice. And I will say, even though there's never really been like other data on this and it's limited, it does. Oh, let me put this up. I forgot. But it does make me think that it does bring the idea into my mind. What, like, what? So if we just look at this in a basic sense here, I'll even show one other thing to show it. It just works for a lot of stuff. Let's look at the 2-year, not the bond. Let's look at the 2-year yield. Right? We started the 2-year yield 2021. You can see the buy point right there. See that? Boom. We can see the buy point right there. I think we can see it on like the 5 and some other ones too. Similar thing, come above all three over here, 1.4%, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go too much into it. What were we looking at? Bitcoin? I'm going to be honest, I literally just forgot what I was looking at. What happens if I do, one second, let me do this. What if I do blue list and then red list? It take me back. So it does take me to the top. Let me pause. I don't remember what I was looking at. Okay, I just had to hit Control Z enough. Oh, yeah. Okay. So looking at that, this does seem pretty interesting. Now, we are only looking at between like a 73 and like a 60, looking at a 20% increase from about 60 to almost 73%. So that'll be pretty interesting to see what happens. Like this does it to me. This seems like a pretty nice place to possibly take up to 75%. I'm not saying it's going up to 88. The implications of that would be insane, right? Like that pretty much like every crypto that's not decent is dead or very close to dead. Its Bitcoin value is completely destroyed. Like because that's like, but this is also Bitcoin going up so much that to me this is like, I mean, this is bull. Like I can't imagine this is anything besides bullish, right? Like this is when it started coming down. Like we can literally look at this and look for good spots. Um, then when it goes up, Bitcoin goes up, right? So it's just pretty straightforward. I think we can keep assuming that. So this does imply Bitcoin's going up, but it implies that the altcoins are getting destroyed to their Bitcoin value. And while that's like nice sometimes, depending on how much that Bitcoin value gets destroyed, it doesn't necessarily always matter. Let's just take Doge, for example. Um, like if Doge ends up failing around here and pushing back down something significant, let's say like a huge run, I mean, this loses a lot. I don't think we have that much data, but it loses a lot of its steam. That's my issue with it mainly. Like we're like this is like we're what 225. We're looking at 150, 116. So we'll see how much Bitcoin goes up, but we're also looking at this losing maybe 35% from where, or maybe not 35, 33% from where it currently is, maybe 48. So I'm gonna be honest. I think that actually, I mean, I'm not worried about Doge. I'll say this, like, I'm not worried about Doge. I don't think it's like super amazing or great, but I'm not like super worried about Doge. It's just kind of like an example. But it does make me wonder, actually, because I feel like 30% to 50% in Bitcoin, that's not really that crazy. I feel like that's pretty achievable, pretty attainable. So we'll see, though. I don't. At the end of the day, I don't really care. Right, when I look at everything on like a week time frame to try to find something and then only go in, all this other stuff only matters so much. Most of these I only check at the beginning of the day or the beginning of the week time frame. I don't really care about the rest of these time frames. So we'll kind of just see what happens. Like this looks ugly, on the day time frame. We look at that same thing that we were looking at. I don't think it matters. Why does it look like that? Hmm. I guess because this is it definitely interesting. I feel like this is a little excessive. I feel like this is a little excessive. Like when we look at this, there like I agree kind of with how bad it looks, but like this is completely here, let's do this. Like these are two completely different things that we're looking at here. It's actually oh, whoops. Like these are two different things. This and this. Like these are fundamentally two completely different charts. While this one, they both look bearish. I will admit, this looks bearish, right? Because we started outside of it, but we did start on top of this line. Starting tomorrow here would probably be pretty sketchy too. It's probably be the sketchiest thing that could happen. Um, Easily, probably one of the sketchiest things that could happen. Um, but we still have all this room here, and we still have this. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. It could be because it's on. It's probably because it's on log, but the day just looks so much worse. I like I said, I don't really personally care. I didn't put the line in on the day, and if I wanted to put it on the day, I mean, I could have done maybe something like that. But I don't like this. I don't like the way this looks. This looks proper. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. Um, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I said, I'm still bearish on this. I'm not in a bearish position because the medium long term still seems bullish, and we haven't seen what happens with the dollar. But it's just worrisome. Like I said, anytime that we have that price action I don't like, we have an open area at a triangle wedge. We don't want to pop into it at literally the last second because if you don't want to pop down into it at the last second, right? If you can, you want to pop up into it the last second, right? There's not a lot of room because you're popping down for the first time into these areas. Essentially, what it means is all the price action is above where you are right now, right? So like, everything now we're under. So it doesn't mean you can't come back up. It just looks way more bearish. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm still bearish on the short term. Hopefully it doesn't develop into anything. Um, we'll have to see what happens. I don't like shorting. Like it's why I didn't even like those puts the other day, which weren't horrible. I just got unlucky on it. I did incredibly well limiting losses on that and still being up for the day, but that was like it's just the thing. I don't like shorting like this because or like getting puts because when things look bad on the short term but not the long term, people buy it anyway because they don't care. So it's like you run into this stuff where trying to be a bear here, you have to be so good and you have to be lucky. It's both of them because the trend is just up. Why fight the trend? So I just wanted to put this out, just kind of a little bit more rambling. Just a long story short, I'm just a lot more concerned than I was yesterday, and hopefully that doesn't continue. Um, but I still think the dollar. I don't think we're gonna drop before the dollar opens. Personally, I don't think we're gonna drop before the dollar opens. Now we dropped last week very shortly after the dollar opened. It was 7:45, so it was somewhere here, and then you can see 15 minutes after it opened at 8. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see it. This if we do it here. It has to be 7, and then 7:45, 15 minutes after at 8. That's this candle right here. Boing, boing. So I don't think it's nearly as bad, or I don't think the possibility for the dollar opening there is going to make this anywhere near as bad as it was last Sunday. I just don't think that's possible. Like, right, like from I mentioned before, there's no possible way that we start the week all the way back up here. But as I said before, there is a high possibility. I mean, pretty much definitely that we start in some of these areas. So bullish for the dollar, like I said before, is starting here, starting here, starting here, and bearish for the dollar is starting here and starting there. So we'll see whether we start here, or we start at one of these bullish spots. And I definitely think that could have a big impact on Bitcoin. I believe it will have an impact on Bitcoin. So we'll just kind of have to see. But at the same time, I think here and here is a lot different. So there are some some small minutia. So I don't want to spam anything. Nothing's really significantly changed. So I'm just going to private this one so it doesn't hit people, and then I'll update it. Because I think when I make a new one and then I update, I think it might tell people twice. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I don't follow any. I follow like 2 people, and I kind of don't want to follow anybody. I just don't want to unfollow people, but it feels weird. I think it says if you unfollow them. I don't remember. Actually, I don't think it does. I don't know. It doesn't bother me enough, but I really don't care what other people say a lot of the times. And it's not like that. It's just, it's interesting sometimes. It's just like, right, like when you have a strategy that you're doing, unless your strategy involves asking people what they think about stuff, you're deviating. The second that you ask somebody about what they think and you start going down that path, you're deviating from your strategy. Stick to the strategy. If the strategy works, I mean, you can ask people how they think about stuff, but just be careful. So because if it deviates you from your strategy and you lose money, it's your fault. And maybe I don't know. It just is what it is. Anyway, on that, I think we're fine. I still don't like the buying here. I think we're still gonna go up. I wouldn't put money on it. I think there's plenty of alts that look decent. Well, I don't know about if they look decent now, but there's some that looked okay at the start of the day. I don't know if they still do. I don't want to get into all that because I don't think it's important, but I mean, this is just sketchy. So this is sketchy. They can push it back up. We'll see if we can actually get past here, though, or if we are going to be like, is this what we're doing for the rest of it? And are we going to start near Saturday here, and then what happens when the dollar opens? Maybe it just pushes back up. But if that's what it is, then sure, fine. Then I'll probably get in some position here, and then maybe something like here. I don't really care. The way the 4 hours are going, depending on how long it takes us to get back up. I mean, if we just look at the extension of these, I mean, it is what it is. Once these start really pushing up, we start hitting some really nice spots up here. So you can also kind of see why I just really rather be down here, and then strike these areas after the dollar opens when things look positive. So long ramble as usual, just not, the first couple of minutes is all people need, but I like putting it out. And just to give people a perspective of what I look at and how I kind of try to discern the price action and all that. So anyway, take care, y'all.